Every new environment demands a shift. What got you here may not necessarily take you forward. Where one fine day I was the commanding officer in an Indian Armed Forces unit, and the very next day I was the chief executive officer in a multinational company. Change of any kind is not comfortable. It always brings in some discomfort. And therefore, if you feel hesitant, if you feel any discomfort, it's a sign that you are growing. If your career is moving in the right direction, one thing is certain: change will come. And change, even when it is for the good, can be unsettling and sometimes even frightening. The question many leaders ask me is, how do I prepare for a major transition? And my view is that it is not as difficult as we make it out to be. Today in the Arena with Rajnish, I'm going to share with you a simple framework that has helped me navigate not one but two significant career transitions. I call it the RUN framework. But before we proceed into the RUN framework, let me take you back to the October of 2008, where one fine day I was the commanding officer in an Indian Armed Forces unit, and the very next day I was the chief executive officer in a multinational company on an international assignment, literally moving from the barracks to the boardroom. Years later, after a fulfilling career in the corporate world, I made another significant transition into executive coaching and leadership development. Today, in my work with leaders who are navigating similar career transitions and especially moving into unfamiliar, uncharted territories, I often notice a pattern. I notice feelings and emotions in these leaders which range from being mortally afraid to a false bravado, from being nervous to overconfident, and the famous imposter syndrome surfacing with questions like, am I good enough? And this is where the RUN framework simplifies and supports you in your transition. It is a very simple way to help you keep moving even when the earth below you is shifting. And it is very important to understand that there is continuity even in change. And the first step of this framework, retain, is all about it. Ask yourself the question, what are the core values that define? These are the anchors of your identity. These are the principles that guide your decisions even under tough times. And therefore, you need to reflect on what are the things that have helped you all along? What is it that defines who you are as leader? And what is it that you cannot let go even in the new role? For me, it was integrity and discipline. They stayed constant with me regardless of the role and the environment I have worked in. And as you retain your core values during the change, you stay authentic. And authenticity builds trust, especially in new environments. The second step of the RUN framework, which I consider to be the most difficult, is Unlearn. Every new environment demands a shift. What got you here may not necessarily take you forward. I often use a very simple analogy. In the armed forces, when we used to move vehicles from plains to the deserts, we used to change the tires to adapt to the sandy terrain. Similarly, when we used to move weapons and equipment from lower plains to high altitude, sub-zero temperatures, to Siachen Glacier, etc., we used to modify the equipment. We should change the lubrication system. Same weapons, same equipment, different terrain, different way of handling. Leadership is no different. And therefore, you need to reflect on what are some of the habits that have held me and supported me so far and may not be useful for me in the next role. For me personally, I moved from an environment of command and compliance to an environment which required openness, which required collaboration, which required influence. It is same for all significant transitions. When an individual contributor moves into a team lead role, or when a functional leader moves into an enterprise-wide role, it needs a shift in understanding. In my conversations with leaders today, I often find that this is the area where they need maximum support, because It requires conscious unlearning. Learning is not instinctive. It requires intent and awareness. The final step of the Run framework is to understand what are the new skills, knowledge, and capabilities that your next role demands. And often this is the most visible part of any transition. Organizations support it, HR has plans for it, there are training programs which are made for such transitions. When I made the transition, it was very clear that I had to understand how cement is manufactured, what are the financial management principles that the organization follows, what is the supply chain logistics, etc. These were the new skills I had to acquire, and I had to acquire them fast. In my conversations with leaders, I have seen that this is the area where most leaders focus a lot of time ignoring the other two important aspects of unlearning and retaining. And that is what makes transitions difficult most of the times. So whenever you come across a major career transition in your life, reflect on these three questions. What are the core values you need to retain? What is it that you need to unlearn? And what are the new skills and capabilities that you need to acquire? This simple Run framework has worked for me twice in two different phases of my life. And as we conclude, just one final thought. Change of any kind is not comfortable. It always brings in some discomfort. And therefore, if you feel hesitant, if you feel any discomfort, don't think it as a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are growing. And if in your career you are undergoing any major career transition and shift, connect with me. I will be happy to take the conversation forward. Bye bye. Jai Hind.